review family, keep it tight. My name is Jay Morse, Review Guy, and I'm back again to bring you another video, and in this one I'm going to be covering the brand new Whitechapel album, The Valley. So Whitechapel, Knoxville, Tennessee natives, formed in 2006. They are a deathcore band, been signed to Metal Blade Records since their second studio-length album, and this was an album that a lot of people were excited for because they have been releasing quite a few singles leading up to this album. And they showcase the band going in a lot of different directions, with a lot of Tool semblances, a lot of Tool inspirations. You could clearly tell that. More cleaner passages, more melodic passages. Building on the stepping stones of Mark of the Blade, and specifically Our Endless War, when they were moving in more of a groove metal type of style. And kind of distancing themselves more and more from having every single track on this album just be balls to the wall heavy, blast beats galore, guitars locked in this kind of distorted battle, and vocals that sound like just gruff, just like throughout lineup changes though, one constant that I really have to commend, and one of the things that make Whitechapel stand out among other deathcore bands and among other metalcore bands would be Phillip Bozeman's vocals. He is an absolute madman. He is super versatile, and his singing voice on this album is particularly nice. Going along with that kind of Tool inspiration, he sounds a lot like Maynard James Keenan, just maybe a little like higher. Even though he has a deep voice, Maynard James Keenan has a deeper voice. His growls are consistently ferocious and visceral and scary. He comes off as an absolute beast. He sounds like an angry grizzly bear. And his shrieks are nothing to scoff about either. They sound very black metal inspired, or just, I guess, shriek type deathcore vocals that you would expect from kind of earlier deathcore. Nowadays, bands seem to be moving more towards growls, but it's nice to hear Whitechapel really melding the two together to have that classic veneer, which makes sense because they were a big part and are a big part of the kind of second wave deathcore bands that came about in the early to mid 2000s. So my kind of early verdict on this album going through these listens is that it's nothing extraordinarily amazing or groundbreaking for the genre, but it is supremely above average for the new textures that they add. And throughout these tracks, they are fun to listen to. They are blitzkriegs, even the ones that reach into the 5-minute mark, the 4-minute mark. They're really nice. When a Demon Defiles, a witch opens up the track listing with this beautiful melodic riff that kind of comes up at the end as well. Love the blast beats that are on this track when it kind of goes into full throttle past that melodic bit. A lot of metalcore bands specifically have trouble transitioning from hard to light or light to hard, but I think Whitechapel finds that nice balance here. And Phillip Bozeman, his growls are sounding better than ever. Like I said, he is such a standout for this band when it comes to his vocals. Forgiveness is Weakness, one of my favorite tracks on the album. Super fast, 2 minutes and 55 seconds. Love the heck out of this track. It is one of the most heaviest tracks on this album. It is straight on just hellfire from start to finish. It doesn't let up. It doesn't give you any room to breathe. The composition is dense, but it's populated with some nice, juicy technical riffs that are going toe-to-toe with each other, and drums that are absolutely beat to death, and Phillip Bozeman just roaring over this like a battle commander from Mordor. I was super impressed when I heard the single Brimstone. That opening growl is so gnarly and so nasty that I can't get over it. One of my favorite parts of the entire track. A little bit more sludgier, groovier, almost sounds like if Pantera was still around and if they decided to go deathcore. This track kind of breaks up with some nice melodic guitars going toe-to-toe with the heavy metal guitars as well as the drums, and this track in particular has more of a death metal feel than kind of a deathcore or metalcore feel. Definitely taking its time, definitely being patient, but still having enough of that ferocity and like just visceral tendencies to get across its point of being in your face, being heavy, being gnarly. Now, while Hickory Creek can sound like an above-average radio rock song, when you deconstruct it, it does have a nice texture to it. Love Phillip Bozeman's singing. He sings specifically on this track the whole way through, and it's over 4 minutes, so that's saying something for Whitechapel, which is kind of surprising that they would go in this direction of having a fully sung song, but it really comes off well. I love the melodic guitars. I love the driving, building drums. I love his lower vocals, those kind of gruffer, raspy vocals that remind me somewhat of Maynard James Keenan, but have this full chesty feeling to them, as well as he goes into his higher register a little bit. So the tracks Black Bear and We Are One are a little bit of kind of slugfest in the track listing. I'm not saying by any means they're bad or they are monotonous or anything, but they are tedious by Whitechapel standards, and this is more what I would expect from someone that doesn't like Whitechapel to kind of point to and say, this is why I don't like them. It's still heavy, it's still hellish, but there's nothing that's jumping out at me saying that this is like amazing. Sure, you can get the wonky distorted guitars on Black Bear, and Phillip Bozeman sounds still amazing on all these tracks when it comes to his growls, and he goes toe-to-toe well, but at the same time, is there anything that's kind of setting it apart from some of Whitechapel's best work in the past? Not really. Not even setting it apart from like the best tracks off this album. Third Dep was my favorite single leading up to this album. Pretty sure that I did a track review of this and I really enjoyed it. Loved the direction that they go in. Very Tool inspired. I love that just distorted guitar opening and Phillip coming through with those lower Maynard James Keenan-esque vocals once again, kind of deeper. He sounds cold-blooded and bloodthirsty on this track even when he's going for those lower, kind of more creepy, frigid type of vocals passages. I really do like this track. It was my favorite single for a reason, and it is super heavy, but it has that melodic edge to it, and it really goes to show why this album is above average in my opinion, the kind of balancing out of the heavy and the light. Doomwoods is a perfect ending to the album. Almost 6 minutes, it's a beast. I was a little worried, was hoping it wouldn't feel bloated or too congested, but it really, really doesn't. I love this track from start to finish. It is absolutely amazing. The changes and the progressions that this track goes through, from those melodic guitars to those gruff vocals that reach such a massive crescendo of crushing brutality near the middle, as well as the melodic guitars that end out the track listing in such a beautiful way. Like, for a deathcore band to be willing to do this, like, Suicide Silence needs to take notes. These three guitars are just a twisting labyrinth stuck in this brutal battle of beauty as well as just hell. It feels like the equivalent of like a metal version of an epic soundtrack that you were gonna get for like the epic battle that is just the climax of the fantasy movie. So yeah, man, maybe there are some weak moments and maybe this isn't an extraordinary over-the-top album, but it doesn't need to be because what it's trying to do is really nice. And am I gonna return to this just every single week, just 7 days a week? Probably not, but this is definitely an album I return to because it is supremely catchy, but it doesn't lose any of its edge or any of its visceralness. I love this, I like it a lot. I'm giving it a 7 out of 10, and that is a wrap. Please be sure to stay for the end screen. I'll link some videos you might be interested in. Be sure to subscribe if you enjoyed this video, like and comment below, smash that notification bell to be notified of my future uploads, and I'll talk to you guys next time. But until then, my name is Jay Morris, the Review Guy, and I'm signing off saying farewell.